Dissect Metal Shelf today with like the musician, DJ, also nurse,
yes,
and vlogger and metal enthusiast,
yes,
Rocío Garrido, from Spain to the cold north of Norway, but we are here in around Oslo, and today I have the pleasure to share the metal shelf with Rocío. Thank you so much for letting us join your temple.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Very nice.
So, Rocío, tell me a little bit about you. How you ended up here in Norway?
Yeah, well, that's a big question. I actually have some memories from when I was a kid, being home with my parents and my sister back in Spain, and pointing at all these pictures from Norway and the encyclopedia and the Norwegian flag, and asking my parents, what is this place? I like these pictures, I like this flag, where is this? And I remember my dad saying, well, that's Norway, it's a country in Scandinavia. And I was like, this is so cool, I like these pictures. So sometime after that, when I started listening to metal music, I discovered all these bands, you know, from Norway, which blew up my mind. And that made me want to learn more about this country, and I actually spent a lot of time reading a lot about Norwegian culture, history, and learning a lot about Norwegian nature, and that interest kept growing with the years. So when I was at my last year of my nursing studies, all my friends went to Cuba to celebrate. We were nurses, and I decided to go to Norway instead with Antone, because I wanted to experience that nature and the concerts and get closer to this country, which fascinated me that much. I'm always being very fascinated by Scandinavia. So that burning feeling and burning desire of being closer to this country and its nature and its music was so strong that 2 years after my first trip to Norway, I decided to quit my job as a nurse in Spain, and basically pack all my stuff together and move here, because I thought that this was the right place to be. And here I am 10 years later, and it has been the best decision ever. So
Awesome.
no regrets.
You're very brave. Conquering the Viking land. Yeah.
Yes, no regrets.
Yeah. So you kind of said a little bit about like your music interest,
Yes.
like it's pretty much a lot of Norwegian
Yes.
music. But how we start your metal collection? Like, remember, like when you have this click, like, oh, I like this more extreme music, or?
Yeah, I was actually around 11 years old, I think, when I listened to my first metal band. It was Metallica, and it was because at school I remember seeing these older guys. They were around 14, 15, I think. They had long hair, they were wearing metal t-shirts with logos. I had no idea what they were, but I remember they were listening to some cool music to my ears, so I thought, oh, this is so cool, I need to find out what this is. So one day I decided to go talk to these guys and asked, what are you listening to? This music is so cool. And they said, we are listening to Metallica. And I said, okay, this is super cool. They play so fast. And I remember they said, yeah, they play fast because it's speed metal. Of course they play fast. And after that day, when I was 11, I started hanging out at the record store and wanted to discover more and more of that music, and wanted to listen to more and more extreme music. It was like it was never enough. It started with Metallica, and it kept like getting more and more extreme, and that yeah, to the day today. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So from like I asked you to to take some albums from our collection. I know it's a very hard decision.
Yes, it is.
So I would say not the best 5 of our collection, but maybe the most meaningful in this moment.
Yes.
Because maybe this can change in the future. So from now, I would like you to talk a little bit like about the albums that you choose for us. Let's start from, let's say, the 5th album.
Yes, and it's very good that you say that it's very difficult to choose 5 albums, because you know what, when you asked me if I wanted to be a part of this interview, I thought that it would be very difficult to choose only 5 albums, because I like a lot of music, and music, like you say, it's like things change, and music it goes in phases. It's about mood, how you're feeling from time to time. So I have decided to choose 5 albums that represent me, maybe at this moment, and 5 albums that have inspired me to make my own music as well. So I will start with Metallica's Master of Puppets. This is a masterpiece, and masterpiece, exactly. And I will probably say that about the other albums, that this is really a masterpiece. I don't know how they came up with these songs, but they are like one of the best songs ever for me. And what I especially like about this album is how the songs are placed in the album. I think that every single song in this album is placed in the place it has to be. Battery is the perfect opening song for this album, and followed by Master of Puppets and so on. And they even have instrumental song Orion, which is very good. I think you have the guitar riffs, and I like the way they're built. And I actually met James Hetfield some years ago in Copenhagen. It's very weird, but I was at this food market with a good friend of mine. Her name is Patricia as well. We were having a couple of beers there, and suddenly I saw James Hetfield there, and I said to my friend Patricia, if you turn around you can see James Hetfield there. Then she turned around and said, but that's an old guy. I said, how old do you think he is now? This is maybe right before the pandemic. So we went. I said, we have to go say hi. So we went, and I asked carefully if we could say hi. He said, yeah, of course. He asked what we were doing there, and he asked what we did for a living. So when I told him that I work as a nurse in palliative care, he said, not just anyone can do that work, that job. And I said, not just anyone can create Master of Puppets. And he laughed. So I guess he agrees, of course, because yeah, it's a great album.
It's so nice.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy, actually.
That's cool.
The next one I think will be Slayer, Show No Mercy, because we all need some Slayer. And I came across this album on my way trying to discover more extreme music after I discovered Metallica when I was around 11 years old. And yeah, this was one of those albums and those bands, and this is a classic, you know. I don't think I think there's no point me trying to explain why I like this album that much, or why I think this album is so good, because I think this album speaks for itself. You have all this powerful songs, and it's just a classic. It's I think you know what I mean. It's difficult to explain why this album is so good. It's just fucking great.
Yeah, it's a font of inspiration, like for a whole scene.
Yeah.
And then cross scenes even, and it's just fucking Slayer.
It's fucking Slayer, and it's fucking Show No Mercy. you don't find anything like this. It's pretty unique, and they have inspired a whole generation and a lot of bands that I like. So both Metallica and Slayer, and especially old Metallica, new Metallica. Okay, that's another conversation. But everything before Black Album and the first Slayer albums have been such a big inspiration for other bands and for me as well as a musician.
Slayer show no mercy.
Yes.
And after that, what do you have?
After that, we have what I think is a very good album. It's a Covenant from Morbid Angel. It took me some years to discover Morbid Angel, but when I first did, oh man, then I was sold. That was a very big day for me actually, because the day I listened to Morbid Angel for the first time, it was like I finally found the music I was looking for on my journey to discovering more extreme music. I finally found the kind of music I wanted to play myself. David Vincent's vocals is what made me want to learn to grow myself and to sing in that way myself. And those vocals are just so brutal, but at the same time you can kind of hear what he's singing or hear what he's saying. So I love it, and I like the combination of those guitar riffs and the drums, and everything is so perfect for me. It's on both this album and Altars of Madness are like two of my all-time favorite albums, and a huge inspiration to the way I grow, the way I want my music to sound like. So yeah, this is, I think Morbid Angel is one of my top 3 bands. Yeah.
It's cool. And I also discovered it's super nice because there's this occult, explicit message.
Yeah. I like the whole atmosphere around the first Morbid Angel albums.
Morbid Angel, Covenant. And so what do you have next here, Rocío?
Next, Patricia, I have this awesome album from In Solitude, The World, The Flesh, The Devil. And I think In Solitude is one of the most interesting bands that came after this period, with a lot of new bands in the new wave of British heavy metal. And being a band from the 2000s, I think they created something very special and unique. And I think it's 7.5 years, almost 8 years since they split up, but they still feel so present, so real, and so timeless for me. And I think I have pretty much everything they have released, and that's because, and I listen to them quite often. I think In Solitude is the band I have listened to the most for the last year and the last years, and that's because they have this very special vibe. They have very many different elements and many different things in their music. You don't find 2 parts that are exactly the same, even in the same album. You have this great guitars and different vocals and kicking drums. And when it comes to this specific album, if you see how it's built, it's not really different from other heavy metal albums, but at the same time the feeling of the whole album is something else. So for me this is an all-time favorite, even though it's not an old album. But I know some people will disagree with me here, but I don't care. The album is what it is and the band is what it is. So yeah, a big favorite for me. Yeah.
In solitude.
Yeah.
The word, the flesh, the devil.
Yeah.
And also very disturbing cover.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and disturbing at the same time.
Yeah.
And what do you have here for us in the first place?
Yeah. It had to be the Devil's Blood, the thousandfold epicenter. It's because this is much more than music to me. And when you hear the name The Devil's Blood, at first you may think about black metal, extreme metal, but they played this occult rock with clean vocals. But if you listen to the lyrics, they are not so far away from extreme metal. Salim was very good at writing lyrics and about death, chaos and universe, and that together with the way they played makes it like the perfect unity to me, and that's why I like this album and this band so much. I think Salim, who wrote the lyrics, wanted us listeners he wanted to give us like as much room for personal interpretation as possible, and I like when musicians and artists in general do that, like here are the lyrics I wrote, take them and interpret them as you want, and I like that very much. So yeah, this is a very special album and a special band for me. Yeah.
That's so cool. The Devil's Blood,
Yeah.
the thousandfold
Epicenter.
So cool.
Yeah, so that's what I had today. I wish I could have chosen 5 or 15 or 50 more albums. So yeah.
No, but thank you so much for sharing these
Yeah.
gems with us. And also, before we finish, I would like to know more about your, you as a musician. Like, how is the path?
I have actually been growing and making and writing my own music for several years, but you know, life happens, and until now I didn't feel the time was right to do something with all those ideas, music ideas, and
But you have been playing a lot in the
Yes.
Oslo scene as DJ Nurze.
yes, exactly. But when it comes to playing my own music, I'm very perfectionist, and music is like everything else in art. You can always add new things to your project. You can always do things different. You can always do things in a different way. But if you don't say, okay, this is good enough, you will never ever move forward. And that's exactly what has happened to me. But now that we have set up our own music studio at home, and I think the time is right to do something with all those ideas, and I've actually started recording and putting things together, and it really is about time, because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of material that I have been working with for a lot of years. So if I don't do anything with it, I will for sure regret in the future. So I'm working with that, and yeah.
Oh my God, Rocío, you're such an inspiring person, because also I forgot to mention that you're also a designer of clothing, like you do manual sweaters with Norwegian patterns, no?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like knitting and designing. I get very inspired by music, of course, in the first place, but by nature as well. And I like that combination, metal music or music in general actually, and nature. And one thing I have learned through the years is that you don't have to let anything stop you, because life is difficult by itself. Don't make it more difficult for yourself. So
sure, life happens anyways.
that's exactly
we need
it.
to follow our path, and we should find our path in the middle of
I couldn't agree more. That's actually how we talked about earlier, when I had that burning feeling inside my chest telling me when I was living in Spain, that feeling telling me that I had to move to Norway and come closer to this nature and this culture and this music. I just did it because I just had to, and yeah, so kör på. You just have to follow this. I don't know.
Kör på is a Norwegian expression, like
yeah,
jump into something.
Just do it. Just yeah. But you can always regret and say, okay, this didn't work. So what? You will learn something on the way, anyways. So why not? Yeah, don't be scared about anything, and music has helped me on the way a lot, that's for sure. Just be strong and do whatever you feel you have to do with your life. We live once, and you never know for how long you're gonna live. So yeah,
that's true. And but if you want to know more about your work, like your knitwear, like you're sharing a lot of your music taste, and also I noticed that you're sharing some of like maybe pieces of recording now on your Instagram. That also is a vlog.
Yeah, exactly. Like nature, it's a mix of nature and music, but I will probably have to open an own music profile or page to share my music, and yeah.
But until there, you can check Destination North.
That's correct.
That for those people that loves nature, that's like loves metal, Norway. That has some interest in Norway, and also it's such a bunch of different nice things like that brings to not just Scandinavian culture, but like the metal culture as well.
Yes.
So it's at Destination North?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's the right place that you can find more about what you are doing, and maybe the next place that you're gonna play as DJ or something. Yeah. So muchas gracias. Tusen tack, Rocío.
Gracias a ti, Patricia.
Metal Shelf!
Yes.